Hey there, and welcome back to the, take two of the next part of the bag project. We, partway through recording last time, we ran into some technical difficulties, and my computer decided to blow up and shut itself off partway through the recording session. So, didn't miss much. All we have, we're good on the detailing on the back. I kind of added the end between the neck area and the back. I'm just about to put the collarbones on. Then we're generally going to be dealing with the feet today. Even if the core isn't perfect, we're good enough for this point. But yeah, so my computer was a jerk, and we definitely had some repairs to do. So I'm using an Asus VivoBook. This thing has been. I had the exact same one before the screen broke, and so over time, I don't know if I just dropped it at work or putting it down enough. Usually I bring this to work so during lunches I can just kind of read the news and whatnot. If I was doing models, this was great. The screen is the exact right size I need so that when I open it up into the whatchamacallit, the tablet mode, it's like the right size for models. They're the models that I make, so I could just use that when I was kind of before I started streaming these. So I could just kind of line everything up on that and use it as my scaling purposes. So screen broke, got the new one, but the new one I got, the battery for this one has been a lemon. It just never took a charge right off the bat. And I don't buy like the extra warranty stuff when I got the computer, so I was kind of stuck. So previously on the old laptop, my AC adapter eventually kind of died. It started kind of putting out every now and again. We plugged in and it wouldn't provide the charge to the computer, and I just wouldn't realize it was running off of battery power as it went. And yeah, I got that, picked up a new AC charger. It's been all good since then until the screen broke, and that was that. Well, apparently on my computer over here, my AC adapter is dying again. Only this time, my laptop doesn't take a charge. Or my battery doesn't work on this one. So any slight hiccup on that is kind of catastrophic for this computer. So it just shut itself off instantly. Because, yeah, the only saving grace I have is that because I still have my old laptop, I never actually got rid of it. I was able to swap out the battery from the old one to the new one, which I should have done a long time ago, except it is not user-friendly swapping batteries on these things. I remember going online just kind of before I opened the thing up, just to kind of double check how you're supposed to do it. And the big warning is, yeah, don't do this unless you're a professional. You know what you're doing. It's not one of those easy ones. I'm like, oh, great. Well, I'm officially a content creator now. As you can probably guess, I'm posting these about a week in advance. So I was going to say my first two videos are out. As of right now, my first three videos are out because this was supposed to be done last night. But I'm now recording this on a Saturday morning. And yeah, video number 3 just went out. So now that I kind of have a little bit of a deadline to do, I can't wait to order a part and have it come in time to get my backlog ready to work. So I had to fix it myself. Took the whole thing apart, and no, the battery's not great. You have to take. It's always, I feel like, nerve-wracking having to basically crack open the back of a laptop to kind of get inside and unscrew. You unscrew the back side of the billion screws they have. You have to unscrew the battery, unclip the battery very carefully, and kind of swap it all out. But I got it done, and for the first time ever, I plug it in. It has the battery charging sign. So even if my AC adapter dies right now, mid-thing, this thing is fully charged. I have something like 3 or 4 hours worth of life on this. even if the AC adapter does the same problem again. So, long story short, we should be good to go. I'm just a little bit behind right now. I didn't plan on doing this Saturday morning, or at least I didn't plan on doing an extra one on a Saturday morning. So, early morning recording, but it's gonna be worth it. And hopefully we don't have these technical difficulties again. Anyway, all we did was I just rolled out just a little skinny piece of clay, put it on top, and I'm just molding it down to get the collarbone. And this is one of those sections that it's going to make it feel a lot more right. We're not going to be able to see this. It's going to be completely hidden by the scarf, but I want this to feel right, for at least a little more right, considering all the other stuff that's gone wrong recently on this. So we're putting it in just to give a little extra something to this. I'm still not sure how the neck is going to wind up, because usually I do the neck with the head and bring it all down at once, because the scarf is like super tight to it, so you can just kind of hide it there. But this time it doesn't quite work that way. The neck itself is actually going to be a little more visible, so I'm not sure whether to actually start to bring that up or not for this, but that's going to be a different day's problem. So I'm just popping this part in so that I can move on from this whole upper body section and get to the feet, because the feet and boots are going to take some time to do, because they are some of the most ridiculous looking feet that I've actually had to do on a character. It's amazing when you start actually looking at these guys, the design choices that are made. But okay, we're generally pushing things back and forth at this point, so let's bring the chest back up in there, flatten you back out, and there we go. We have some collarbones. But like I said, this is the one element that would be nice to feel I can just look in a mirror and be able to kind of say, oh, that's what it's doing. But that almost 10 years ago now, actually, yeah, almost 10 years ago now, I had a cycling accident and kind of broke my collarbone. So it does not look or function quite the same way it's supposed to. I have about twice as much bone where the two pieces connect. I cut straight through. I was cycling through the local development. I was going maybe maybe just over 20 miles an hour, and a car passed me and then immediately turned off into their street. And I just had nowhere to go. I just went right over the handlebars. So took out that. So yeah, I can't use me to figure that part out. But anyway, now we're gonna file that under stuff happens, and we're going to once again need to kind of bulk out. Actually, before I even get to this, I just want to show you what I'm talking about when I say these feet are ridiculous. So real quick, I'm going to turn off the webcam, and you can see, well, that way is not doing it very good. So what do we have? Let's go profile view. If you look at his bottom foot down there, the claw on that thing, there is no way. There's no way that is useful for anything. If you try to walk on soil or something, that is going to dig into whatever ground you have, and you're going to go nowhere. If you're walking down a street or whatever, down any kind of hard surface, rocks, that thing is going to clank like crazy. It's going to be, for a ninja, I am not sure how this thing is going to work. Do we have a different image for this one? Yeah, once again, you can see the claws on the feet there. And actually you can see it's slightly modeled differently on these, where if you look at the toe, if you go from one to another, you can see on this toe, if you see the line that comes down the middle, it stays together the whole way, and then as it goes down, it kind of separates a little bit. If we come back to the original one and take off the webcam, the outside edge goes straight down. The inside edge of it actually curves in a little bit, so it makes a little bit of a break. And then if we come back to this guy, it actually winds up being both sides before it does the little point down, break off a little bit. So these are all official drawings for the various games, and it's always interesting to see just why they change certain little details like that throughout it. It's such an inconsequential detail, so it's like, why do they change those little things? I don't know, but they do. But in any regard, for the most part, we're going to be taking a look at this throughout the better part of the session, so might as well stick you up right now. We're going to beef out the leg a little bit, because again, I said from the start the legs were still a little small to begin with. So, feels good to finally be getting off of that section. And now on to something else. And the goal is, no, the boot is not going to be done, but if we can get it kind of started this time, hopefully finish it on. It may or may not be finished next time. There's actually a number of little details that are in there. But generality is the first one usually takes some time to do to kind of figure everything out. The second side tends to go by a decent chunk faster. So we're just going to hope for that right now. You know what? We're going to be a little early on this. Let's actually pop you down a little bit, because I need to get a little more of this leg kind of beefed out too. Which side am I going from? I can go from... Again, I know we're not going to see the leg here. However, if I get the top right, it can help inform how to get the bottom sized correctly. That's just the way that works. But yeah, no, I had thought about doing this session right after I'd fixed the computer last night, but I was already starting in the evening, and by the time I got done, it was somewhere between like 9, 10 o'clock at night. And I didn't really want to be streaming or doing the recording session until say 11, 11:30, because then it takes, I do kind of my post-production, kind of rewatch over things, make sure I'm talking correctly and all that. So by the time things are said and done, it would have been close to midnight by the time I was done. And I was like, no, we can try this again later. I'm not hard set on getting it done right now. But, stressful times. Didn't need that. It had turned itself off once during lunch, and I wasn't really sure what happened. I was like, okay, something hiccuped. I don't know what. Maybe it just like run a virus scan or whatnot and fixed it. Then I kind of realized, wait a minute, no, this has happened before. I understand. So we should be good this time. Which kind of leads into what I kind of alluded to in the last session, which I debated really coming back to this one, and that was, I'd mentioned I've had a lot of good things happen to me in the past, and I've learned a lot of lessons from them. For each, say, positive element that I've had, whether it's been the fitness stuff, and like, oh yeah, I qualified for nationals, whether it was the Worlds from the one thing, or whether it was the Science Olympiad, yes, I went to nationals for 3 years on the team. Or like any of these art projects, how things are kind of turning out now. For every one of those that kind of went well, things have also gone catastrophically wrong. So the other lesson I didn't quite put in last one is be prepared for failure at the same time, and use failure. Failure's not a terrible thing. It's not this bad word you're supposed to avoid at all costs. Just be prepared for failure when leading to any of those. Like I said, yes, I did the Science Olympiad. I was on the team that went to states for my sophomore through senior years, and it was good. But I said, I tried like crazy to go on 7th grade to make the team. 7th grade, my memory was they're kind of still starting out, and nationals is being held down in, I believe it was Alabama that year, and they said, oh, if we can make it to nationals, we're going to go to the space center. We're going to go to one of the space areas down there for the day. Or like launching site or whatever. And I was like, oh, this is going to be awesome. I really want to make it. Tried like crazy. A couple of my friends got on the team. I failed. I did not make the team. Went back again, 8th grade. I'm like, all right, I have something to prove this time. We're going to do it. We're going to make this team for once. No, I failed again. I said, by the time my freshman year came around in high school, I had kind of given up. I had started doing the track and cross country stuff. I had other interests going on, so I kind of put that on the back burner and forgot about it. I think I might have actually tried kind of half-heartedly, but at that point I'd given up. And then finally sophomore year, I got the break I kind of needed for that. But no, 3 years of failure is a long time when you're in like grade school, middle school, high school. Time goes by so slow during that age group that it felt like an eternity of failure before that finally worked its way out. Same thing on the fitness part. I would say yes, I qualified for the way Spartan used to do the Roll to World Championship was it used to be a 24-hour race at some kind of exotic location in the world, usually held in like November or whatnot. And in the beginning, you had to qualify for it. Again, I'm not in the elite age group. I do kind of the elite qualifications. I'm more of the age group kind of competitor. So I would be going with other people in my age. And the way it used to be is you had to finish within an ultra race of your choice throughout the year, because they're really only, I think they're less than 10 like held throughout the entire year. But in one of those races, you had to finish within the top 10 in your age group, and you would qualify. And yeah, no, I tried the very first year I did that, I failed. I came in like 12th or something. It was either 11th or 12th. And so the following year came around and they changed the rules. I guess they realized not enough people were signing up. We want to make some money off of this. So they took away the qualification. Now, if you complete an ultra, you can compete at Worlds. It's the way they do it now, but it doesn't feel the same. It feels better to say I qualified for something. So in my mind, I was like, all right, I still want to qualify by just hitting their old mark. And so I tried like crazy and got it. What comes with that is back in high school on the track and cross country teams, I was never fast enough to even compete at the state level. I failed every single year to compete at that. Freshman year, now we had a really, really good team. That was my freshman year, and again, I was a freshman, so there was no way. You need to be top 7 on your team. I was nowhere near that. So sophomore year came around, and on each race we would get kind of scored, and then by the time you get to the end of the season, the top 7 scores would be the ones who would go and compete at like the county, states, and whatever additional level we would need to do. So by the end of the season, we had a senior on the team who was much stronger at the first half of the season, and then I kind of started improving as time went on, and I wound up getting better in the second half, and by the end we were tied with our points. And our coach came up and said, okay, well, you guys are tied. The other guy here is a senior. This is going to be his last chance to compete at states. So we're going to put him on the team. You still have 2 more years to go. You can do it next time around, and that'll be fine. It's like, okay, cool. So next year came around, and our school grew. So we were no longer a Group 1 small school. We were now Group 2. And with that, it got more competitive, and we never got that chance to compete at states. We're now a little more underdogs on that. So never had the ability to compete at states at that. And track, I was just never fast enough. Period. I had a good time doing the activities, but all the way through senior year, I failed at that point, or at that level. It just never worked. So once again, the science had failure. The model stuff, yes, I have like 15 completed ones. I also have about half a dozen others for every probably 2 that I have completed, I also have another 1 or 2 that are not completed and are just either they burned, they fell apart, they just didn't look right sitting on the side. None of these things, there is no guarantee these guys have all turned out well in the end. There's been plenty that goes through. So goal is you don't let that stuff get you down. You learn why you failed from the start, and then you work to resolve it afterwards. So one of those things is you don't fear failure as something. It's just a tool you can use to learn off of to ultimately get better at what you're doing in the end. All right, so you want to make a foot feel like a foot. You can add the tendon in the back. It really helps. I don't like how this... I feel like my wire is up further than I think it is, and that's not helping here. Oop. I also have this posture ruler I could be using to knead out. So, you know what? Just so I'm not working off this big guy. And also, I forget if I've mentioned on here why I keep putting this thing on the box and bring it over and not just bringing this whenever I do. Is you can see the handle. The handle, this is meant to sit on a desktop or a countertop. The handle comes down lower than the bottom of this. So, A+ on design decisions. So that's why this thing is always sitting on a box whenever I do this thing. It's just some things I don't 100% understand. But it is what it is. What was the other ones of things I'm looking for? Oh, the advising I had done. That's also a big epitome of failure on that. Because throughout college, as kind of like my need to get away from studio, I had to join something. So I joined the group Alpha Phi Omega, which is basically an extension of the Boy Scouts. I guess they're called just Scouts of America now, but well, when I was there, it was Boy Scouts. We're just going to call it Boy Scouts. So it was made to be an extension of the Boy Scouts into the college environment. And yeah, it's essentially, it's pretty much just a straight up community service group. You have to do your community service hours to do it, to kind of stay in it, and it's a nice group to be in. I was super active back in school, came back home, and I started advising the local chapter. And I was an advisor for about 14 years or so. And then 2021 hit. And at that point, as you can imagine, the COVID stuff was in full swing, so we couldn't have in-person meetings or anything more. Everything was done via email and Zoom. And the group decided to go in a political direction. They started, that was also when we had the civil unrest occurring at that time, and they decided to join in those protests and or events. And I tried to warn them to stay away from the political side of things, try to stay neutral. It wasn't, I gave them a number of reasons why it could end badly heading from an institutional standpoint. From an individual, if an individual wants to go and do this stuff, that's fine. But from an institutional standpoint, it's better to kind of stay away from politics. You can get yourself into a lot of problems with politics. I mean, if nothing else, you're limiting, if somebody disagrees with your politics, you're limiting your pool of people who's going to come and join your group. You're limiting the people you can help along the way. You're limiting the people who may ask for your help along the way. So it becomes, it's getting yourself and stay out of politics. Just from that perspective, just stay out of politics. And they didn't like that idea, and instantly I was fired. That was it, gone. Just like, wasn't even allowed back into the session where they were discussing stuff. It was just cut off from the emails, cut off from their communication network, cut off from everything. It was just like, they made their choice, and that was that. 14 years, I was gone instantly. Once again, a failure. So this is, yes, I have done a lot of things, and I've done a lot of things very well, but they do come with a side of, yeah, stuff like that that happens, and it kind of ruins the day a little bit. So just you take them with a grain of salt. It happens. Life goes on. Life change. Yeah, life just goes on. And ooh, my wire is very much close to the front of this. That's not what I wanted to see. Also, you're not sticking very well. So let's. Oh, now I'm gonna have a little bit of glue on my fingers, which is not what I want. So yeah, don't be afraid of failure. Just use it as a tool to learn off of so that you can improve yourself. And that's that. Yeah, no one's gonna be upset with anybody if they don't do something well. I remember the Science Olympiad in terms of failing on getting on a team. Nationals itself was even more of a letdown because the first year I made it, they didn't have the geology one, which wound up kind of being my specialty. What was it called? The course, or the test was on dynamic planet, which was meteorology and glaciation. Supposed to like learn weather maps, kind of be able to chart things on there, see, kind of explain where the weather events and whatnot come from, what's going to happen next, kind of do your predictions and this, that, and the other, and just anything you can think about glaciation would be on there. So again, I'm studying like crazy. This is my one chance. I've been waiting 3 years to get on this team. This is now the 4th year. I'm finally there. I go to nationals, and the national test was essentially you're building a planet. How far from a star, the nearest star, would you make it? How bright and how much energy would you have coming out from the star? How fast would you spin the planet? And like all this like physics stuff, it wound up being a physics test in the end. And it had absolutely nothing to do whatsoever with what we were told to study. And so I'd completely bombed that one all the way. And that was definitely one of the biggest letdowns. I had so much built up on that, and I failed so hard on that test. I think out of like the 50 schools, I think it's like 55 that compete at nationals, because some states like New York or California or like Texas, some of the bigger ones have 2 schools that went. So I think it's like 55 schools there. We were ranked 40 something on that. And that's only because my partner was more advanced in the sciences than I was, because again, I stayed back and I did the earth science, where all the other ones kind of jumped ahead and did the biology, chemistry, physics, and their AP stuff. So my partner knew a little more what was going on, but I bombed that one 100%. Came back the second year. Second year was the exact same thing again. And once again, I bombed that one 100% as well. So these things happen. All right, I'm hoping not to add too much more to this ankle here, but I have a hard portion on that. So I'm just trying to make sure, A, I'm covered down there, or the wire is covered, and also that I'm kind of taking care of myself here. My calf's not looking good. Nothing is looking good at this point. I don't feel like anything is looking good. Having a rough go of it. All right. I just want to smooth this out a little bit, and maybe we can finally start the actual boot. Das Boot. Let's see. So we have a shin that appears, it comes over the calf. Alright, so we have that. And now, to get these dumb claw feet figured out, because switching on to you, I'm thinking if I just make a clay piece, let's say like this, I bring it over, I bring it down, I harden it. This little claw piece that's going to go down there, I have a feeling that's going to 100% break. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually structure both halves of that claw. I have some of my 16 gauge steel right here, and I can not have my snips on me up here. Oop, there we go. And just so I can manipulate this a little easier, we're going to cut off far more than I need. That's going to fall on the ground. You know what? Let's actually get these pliers. Yep, there it goes. Fell on the ground. Let's actually get these pliers up here as well. This will straighten you out just a little bit. And now if I make just a little piece that I can shove into the shoe, and then bend down. So I can shove something like this into the shoe, it comes down, and then I can just model or kind of put clay around that. That would probably be helpful. And if I were smart, I would have cut two of these the exact same size, because I can find that later for the next shoe. Alright, we about the same size? Yeah, we're about the same size. That's good. Now they need to curve in a little. No, get in there. Now there is a little bit of a back curve to it. It doesn't go straight down, it kind of curves back just a teeny bit, so make sure they're both doing that. And I can shove this into the foot. Let's actually make Alright, you have an insole, and the foot comes out a little bit. We're a little bit flat up top, but that's not going to matter as much because, again, we're going to be putting more stuff on there. But it looks like there's a little gap between the bottom of the foot and where the kind of the shin guard kind of comes in. So we actually want to put a little bit of stuff on here. We do have, I think that needs to be a little bit bigger. We have that little bump out on the shin, or on the shin, on the kind of the heel area here. Just gonna put that on. Again, it's one of those details that starts to make this feel like a foot. And then, now we don't want it sticking out too far, but we do need a little something on that, so that we start to get it to feel right. This calf is still not feeling anything near correct, and not super happy about that. But if you come up the tendon on the back of the foot needs to come. Maybe I'm missing a little more behind. Ah. Yeah, I said before the roughing out was kind of done. I was detailing things. No, I'm still roughing out. And I'll be honest, I really don't like the roughing out phase. The roughing out phase just feels like the so stressful part because you just need everything to be proportionally right and just kind of correct. The detailing, once you're on top of that, detailing phase is fun. Detailing phase is a whole lot easier in a way. It's just this kind of this roughing part and making everything feel correct as kind of the underlayment is kind of my, well, I'm looking at this. It's kind of my Achilles heel of this whole thing. Okay, then we do have, don't need that much. We do have another little kind of bump on the inside as well. So we're going to go and put another bump in here. And this is because it's almost like it's less, I have a slightly different zoomed in version I'm using on the side of my screen I'm going off of. And you can see the spot between the armor and the shin guard. You do kind of see like it's almost like a stocking or something-ish for the actual foot. And then the shin guard is separate. This top plate is separate and a heel is separate. So you kind of do want this to read as a foot right now because some of that may be visible in the end. So we do want just a little bit. And for like any good ninja, let's give him like the big toe thing, 'cause I feel like that's a thing with the ninja attire. Can you ever see it? No, but we're just gonna do it to take 2 seconds and pretend like I'm trying something nifty. Okay, so we're getting a foot. And now from here, what time are we? Okay, we still have like another 20 minutes or so. Now we can start figuring out how to do this. So I didn't need to put you in there. So for his claw feet thing, what I can do is I can shove. Now the claws are going to come out a little bit. I think what I want to do is get rid of these two things because I don't need them anyway. We're going to inset this into the foot. And that's going to come out just a little bit. I can inset number 2 into the foot. That's going to come out a little bit. And now if I put some clay over this, this will, when this hardens and I stick him on the ground real nicely, the little ends, hopefully, shouldn't just snap off. Hopefully that will help make this all work in the end. Okay, so how are we going to do this? We're going to make this out of 2 separate pieces here. So let's kind of clean that up a little bit. And we're going to want to have 2 separate guys going. So let's just do this. And I'm going to do my usual. I'm going to make 1/2 of this. And assuming it works, I can then just trace it onto the other half. Because why do more work if I don't have to? So so we're kind of starting off up, and I want more to come down. Okay, so if I have you doing this, I actually want you coming up even higher. Alright, so I can just kind of trace this on here. So nothing ever comes down. So we need our datum line to come in half. So that's our half. And as we come from here, it goes diagonally, and it does wrap around the foot a little bit. So from there, so let's say you come down. I'm going to want you then to come up. You generally follow kind of the side of the foot. Or something-ish like that. We need to come further down the side. Magic eraser right here. There's our magic eraser. I want to come down. I'd rather make you wider than you need to be first. And I can always shrink it after. So we're going to start with that, peel you off, and let us cut the thing. Okay. So if we have this, once again, we bring you back in. That's going to come down to a point on the ground. Shoe comes around. And I need it. Okay, so I need to be bigger than this. I think the point is okay. Ooh, you are not seeing contrast at all well from this. So the point's not bad. That's not too bad. I just need this bottom portion to come out more. So we can, we're just going to get, rather than work with this little bit of clay we have, let's go and get ourselves some more. This would sure be nice to get a detail done today. The good thing is, after this, everything out is going to be, at this point I'm now pure detailing this boot, so hopefully by end of next session we'll have the boot kind of done. Oh, actually, what am I doing? We are heck rolling this thing out. Because I kind of want this to be a consistent size. Whoop, I'm dropping all the parts. I know this feels like I'm going super slow in this model right now. Because again, most other things you're going to watch are like a 10-minute session that shows just, yep, it's done. But typically I get to like my first hardening phase is usually within about 10 to 12 hours, and then it goes a lot faster from there. Because now we're pure detailing after that point. And we're actually kind of getting into that range probably by the end of this one. I mean, if this is 7 at the end of this point, we're definitely getting into that kind of nicer time frame. Okay, so I'm going to take you, we're going to make you a little bigger kind of in every dimension here. And there we go. Yes, like I said, the last couple sessions have been just a little rough in terms of getting things right, making it all kind of look good. But we are about to get to a place where things work. Okay, this is feeling better. it goes up. I am a little bit big. That's fine. I'm okay being a little bigger. So we're going to start probably around here. And we come in. And just for curiosity's sake, how different was that? Oh yeah, that was a size difference. That was definitely a size difference. And okay, the other side is going to be the same. So all I need to do is trace. That goes there. That goes there. And you're in. And boink. Okay. We have ourselves, as soon as it unsticks, we have ourselves some two sides. Side. Stop talking. That's never a good sign. Me concentrating can't end well. You already feel bigger. Probably because you are a little bigger. And you know what? If I'm smart, he has a second foot. I should probably actually make this the same for the other foot as well. Now, we're not going to use it for a little bit of time, but it probably wouldn't be bad to have these guys on hand, ready to go for when we get there. Because ideally, I'm going to make the other side, the other foot, the exact same size. And this is going to be part of why foot number 2 tends to be a decent chunk faster than the first. Because we already have things figured out at that point. We don't need to do as much thinking. We can just do. Okay, so if we have 2 halves of this, and it opens up a little bit on the end. Yeah, we don't go quite as far down. I think I want to be just a little further down on the foot. We wrap and we come down. So like that, coming down here, it opens up, it stays together, it wraps, it comes down. And we have our general kind of claw thing going on. Alright, so pushing it in just a little bit, get it to stay. Now here's where things are going to get themselves, or I'm going to get myself into trouble. Okay, what time do I have? We got another roughly 10 minutes. That's fine. We can bring you, and now I need to bend that out. I am trying to stick it to my metal piece here. which is trying to spin on me. It's that much isn't helping. But okay, now assuming this is in, you're in, you're in, you're in, we have a little detail that kind of goes on this guy. So first thing, I just want to kind of round off the edge just a little bit, just so it doesn't look like it's been cut the way that I cut it. Just taking that edge off a little. And now we need to come in and give just a little bit of a detail on this. It stays fairly consistent throughout. Okay, this is definitely one of those segments where I don't know where the time went, because I feel like I've gotten next to nothing done on it. Again, the next session is definitely going to have a whole lot of good stuff going on, because now we're just pure detailing, and this is going to look like a boot and a shoe and all of that. It's just, anytime I get into these kind of block out sections, it's just time disappears, and I'm not sure that's in a good way. But I get that, I want to kind of go in just a little bit. It kind of helps to emphasize that mark I made. Very, very carefully. Very, very carefully. We're just rolling the inside edge. Okay. All right, so now we get to do the same for the other side. Maybe I can do that on camera too. I'm beginning to feel like it was better doing this core section first, because this is going to be ridiculously fickle. So I have a feeling we're going to be fixing this a little bit as we get to like the other foot and whatnot. We're going to mess this up somehow. It's just going to happen. There will be no avoiding that. Alright, so that's number 2. Now I need to just very carefully, once again, just roll the inside edge just to give a slight chamfered / elevation difference between the areas. Now I see I've done this wrong already, and that I have a rounded edge on this toe where it goes over, and I need to, this has to be folded, not rounded. So let's see what we can do about that. What can we do about that? can do is we can touch this thing real quick and then just ruin all that detail I just put in. All right, but that's a generality of what we're going on there. Again, we're going to be touching things up until this thing gets hardened. Keep in mind, anything can be touched up until that first hardening phase. So, but that as a generality gets us over there. Next step would be getting the heel on this, but I think we're going to hold off until the next session for that, because we're at that time. So next time, we're 100% going to be doing these shoes, shin guards. This whole area in here is going to start looking like something real. We're going to definitely be detailing out some good looking things. Again, the parachute pant things, no, we're not doing that until after the first hardening. But we're definitely going to start getting this to come into shape, and it will be good. And actually this comes up just a little bit. Remember that. This doesn't get stuck to the shin. It comes out. You come out. But that's where we are. Yeah, again, it was a little bit of a slower session, but we have very pronounced collarbone. I'll probably have to tone that down a little bit. That's up there, although it's not terrible. It's just way more pronounced than it needs to be. If I tone that down, and that's where we stand. We have our guy. He's ready to go. We're detailing out the feet now. And that is it. Until next time, enjoy.